Great. Hi, everyone. Great to see you here. And I got to say, it's been an awesome conference. You know, the bear thing, the more interesting people come out, and I really am thrilled about the vibe of some of the people I've seen and the creativity. And it's just, you know, great to be back with you at like a real industry conference. So really great to see many of you again. I think what I'll be discussing with you today is how we build the next generation of safe, reliable DeFi applications. And I think what's useful for us is to look at it in a historical context to start. So Bitcoin came out of the 2008 financial crisis and the failures there. And the failures there had two properties that we don't want to replicate. The first one was it was basically an unsafe financial system that aggregated risk in a way that led to massive failure and lost people's faith. And then the second thing is that along the way, there was a lot of value extraction that accelerated and contributed to that failure. I think that our industry is at a very important point where it's going to have to make some really critical decisions about either replicating this model or making the better, more secure, more reliable, transparent, safe alternative. I'm definitely here for the second one. The place where I think we're at in the historical context of our industry is where exchanges were after Mt. Gox. So before Mt. Gox, all exchanges seemed like a great idea and they seemed like they were, obvious. And then after Mt. Gox, security and reliability of exchanges became a real question. And that's when the best exchanges started to appear, the ones that generated and delivered real security. This is what Coinbase was built out of and a lot of other exchanges, is that they became the safe and reliable place to transact cryptocurrencies. We, in our current evolution of the industry, are in the same place, where we've made some financial products. It was a lot of fun, but some of them weren't made in the way that they could sustainably exist and safely continue to deliver their promises. And this is shown by the last headline, where there were a number of failures which have now taken our industry back down. So we're at this kind of step in the pattern where it would really behoove us to build a safe and reliable version of all the exciting financial products that we've been building to make our industry into the safe and reliable alternative financial system. And I think if we do that, we can become the financial system. In working on all of this for many years, being in the industry since 2010, I've seen a lot of attack vectors. And some of those we've come to address with the technology of Chainlink. The first attack vector that we worked on was the data feeds and the ability to manipulate markets based on data. This is an obvious attack vector that people use to manipulate markets and extract value. The second attack vector is now bridges, and the ability for someone to steal money from a bridge is something that puts the whole system at risk, the whole blockchain financial system, because if you take your value from one place and send it somewhere else, but in the process of sending it, it gets stolen, that doesn't really work, right? That's not how transactions work. That's not how a financial system can work. And then the final problem is really how to avoid manipulation of contracts and their execution, often known as MEV, front-running, back-running, sandwich attacks, and all these things. This one is less understood, but I think will be equally important, because as the volumes grow, the amount of manipulation here will also grow. So our body of work has really been around solving these problems in order to provide a safe and reliable infrastructure that can allow all of you to build a safe and reliable financial system. Because once again, I think that the genesis of our industry is that there is an unreliable financial system and that cryptographically guaranteed outcomes and systems can create a safe and reliable financial system. That, I think, is what we are really here to do. In the process, people make money, things grow. That makes sense. You need incentives. But at the end of the day, what we're really building is a safe and reliable alternative financial system. What we are doing in that equation is we're providing the infrastructure, the data feeds, the compute, and now the cross-chain ability to send value into your application. This is really what our body of work is about. It's how do we provide cryptographically proven data that can be reliable enough to control and trigger large amounts of value? How can you have cryptographically trust-minimized compute that levels up what blockchains are capable of doing and does it in a way that protects the transactions and the smart contracts from manipulation? And now with the launch of CCIP here at ECC, we're able to also provide the access to value that resides on various public chains and relatively soon private bank chains which have even more value that can flow into these applications to make them successful and useful. I strongly believe that the ability for value to flow in these applications will once again depend on them being a safer, more reliable alternative than how the current financial system works, which, thanks to cryptography and decentralization, we are in a very unique position to build. And right now, while things are in a lull, they're in a lull because we didn't do that, basically. And if we do that, they won't be in a lull, and the boom times will be back. And I think even more because not the dynamics of speculation, but the dynamics of a safe and reliable, better alternative for lending, derivatives, ownership, insurance, gaming, you name it. So this is the body of work I think we're involved in together with you. So far, we've been able to help process over $8 trillion worth of transactions, which makes the Chainlink network one of the top value transaction processing systems in the entire blockchain industry. We've put close to 10 billion data points on chain to trigger all of that value. And that's been done with basically real consistent security that's resisted adversaries and resisted the congestion and failure modes of various blockchains. And now we're applying that knowledge of how to create secure and reliable infrastructure to the cross-chain problem, which last year alone lost people $2 billion. When people lose $2 billion by using a system, they don't want to use it because they lost $2 billion. And so if we can solve that problem through the same security that allowed DeFi to grow from sub 100 million to over 200 billion, then because this is actually the mechanism through which value flows between chains and hopefully soon into chains, we can grow the whole industry by, in my opinion, orders of magnitude. This is now live on mainnet, and it's available for general access to developers today. We've built it for you to connect your applications to multiple other chains where you can gain value, to use multiple other chains in what we call an Internet of Contracts, and to gain access to value in actually other places such as bank chains, which is something we hope to be able to provide soon. So if you have cross-chain problems, if you want a reliable cross-chain bridging mechanism for transactions and messages and value, I think you should take a look because we spent 3 years building this, and it's something that we think will solve this problem in the same way that the data oracles solved the data problem for DeFi and allowed DeFi to grow into what it is today. So this is the same pattern we're hoping to see with this, is that not only do we help you build great applications, but in the process, the entire industry grows and becomes about much more. This Internet of Contracts is obviously not something that we're going to build. You folks are going to build it. What we're going to do is try to provide the most secure and reliable infrastructure we can that gives you access to the most and highest quality data, the best and most useful trust-minimized compute that you need but a blockchain can't provide, and connections to all the places that you want to send and receive value to and from, together with a messaging system that can make that easy and seamless so you can remove the UI burdens of your users and put them into the backend and into the system. One of the big things that we're very hopeful of and working hard on is the ability to get bank chain value into your applications, into the blockchain ecosystem. So if we're able to build safe, reliable applications that process transactions at the speeds that real large asset managers, hedge funds, banks are used to, And we have this property that their counterparty risk is lower because the data that's used and the computation that's used and the cross-chain mechanism that's used is not easily manipulated, then the value would flow into a better system. And so these are the kind of rails and the systems that we're setting up. So if you folks are interested in working with the value that you see in banks going onto chains there, in private bank chains and app chains that they're all making, then CCIP also has a dimension of that. And it's something that I think will be a very big deal because the amount of value that we can get from the worst of the world is very large, but through the historical aggregation of value into banks and asset managers in the last, let's say, 100 years, there's tens of trillions of liquid value that can flow into the blockchain ecosystem. And that liquid value is just now, like right about now, getting put on a bank chain. So that's, in my opinion, a real opportunity and one that we want to facilitate in a secure and reliable way to show the world that they are better off using the blockchain financial system and accelerating that as much as possible, both for public chains and for banks. Because frankly, the better the applications you build, the more attractive this whole blockchain thing will be for all the people with money, whether they're big banks or individuals or asset managers or whoever. So we are very eager to be your partner and to help you do that, to avoid all the security and risk issues, and to enable you to build the applications that can be attractive in this way. Where I think this gets all of us is this Internet of Contracts, where the global financial system is on-chain. This, I think, is our fundamental shared goal, is that the world now works in a provable, cryptographically guaranteed, decentralized way that's fundamentally superior to what you have today and is much better for society. So this is the final end state. This is where we want to arrive, and this is what we're going to do our best to facilitate for you to be able to do. I think the launch of CCIP is an important step in that direction. And together with all the other services on the data side, the automation side, and now on the cross-chain side, we hope to provide you with all the data you require in a trust-minimized way, all the computation you require in a trust-minimized way, and now all the cross-chain communication and value that you require in a trust-minimized way. I think what's very important from your point of view is that instead of replicating the fragile schemes of the past that as they grow fail and lose people value, I think it's very important that we reach a new level of security and reliability and the ability to prove that to both our industry and the larger financial system. And this is the stage that we're at. The pattern at this stage, I've seen being in this industry since 2010 is always the same. Either you learn from the recent failures and you make better systems, and the standards that users apply to you as an application are higher. So users actually have a role to play here as well, where they should connect their usership and their demand to better security and better reliability if that's what they actually want from applications. And so either you learn from the failures of something like Mt. Gox and you build better centralized crypto exchanges and you have a centralized crypto exchange ecosystem to power the next 5, 6, 7 years of crypto trading, which is what happened with crypto exchanges, which is why you have such large volumes on them, because they learned that lesson and they built a secure version of themselves. And that drove the industry to the heights where it is today. Or you don't. I'm very hopeful that we do, and we're here to support you in building all of these applications in the most secure, reliable way possible. Whether you're a small application that's just starting out, we've made all of this accessible to you in various ways, or whether you're a large application that secures billions of dollars, We have an ability to scale security with the size that you secure. So I hope this is all useful to you, and that the cross-chain system is something that allows you to gain access to more chains, eventually bank chains, and more value. And we're always here to help you build the future, and excited to be working with you. So thank you very much. Decided to make it brief this time, and appreciate all of your interest and attention in building all of this with us. Thank you. Decided to make it brief this time, and appreciate all of your interest and attention in building all of this.